Hello and welcome to the Afterburner Weekly Review. I'm Walter Flanagan.
And I'm Caleb Shaw.
Today we're going to be recapping Week 6 and previewing Week 7 for the 7A Central Conference.
So last Friday there were 4 games played in the 7A Central Conference. And starting off, last Friday the Cavalcai Rockets played at the Bryant Hornets, and we lost 56-7.
So the game ended mercy ruled in the third quarter, similar to the Fayetteville game, and this season, I just don't see another team in the Central or West that can be a challenge to Bryant at any point in the season or in the playoffs.
So this game was kind of it was a tough loss, and I could kind of tell as soon as we stepped off the bus that we weren't going to do so hot. The energy just wasn't really there, and all throughout the practice week, we just weren't real disciplined, and I don't know. They're a really good team. They have a stud running back. Jackson Daniel got a pick 6, which is pretty cool, and that was the only points that we scored. But their defense just locked our offense down, and overall, not a great game, but we're hoping to bounce back this week.
So the Hornets are now 5-0. They have scored 220 points and allowed for 41 points. The Rockets are now 3-2. They have scored 124 points and allowed for 115. Next up, the Hornets play at the 4-1 Central Tigers this Friday.
So this Friday is the homecoming game for the Rockets. We play the Northside Grizzlies. It's at home at War Memorial Stadium, 7 o'clock. Last year we lost 40-14. This year we're hoping to get a dub. Northside is not looking great this year, but we are very disciplined in practice. We had our first practice yesterday, or actually Saturday, and our second practice yesterday. We're really disciplined. Should be a good game. Northside runs an option offense, and so we're getting prepared for that, and our offense, honestly, is looking a lot more disciplined. Good discipline this week. Should come out with a win.
So last Friday, the Northside Grizzlies played the Central Tigers at home and lost 42-35. Northside is now 2-3, and they've scored 132 points and allowed for 135.
So Central is now 4-1. They have scored 191 points and allowed 113 points.
I think after the second conference win, we can say for sure that Central is for real. We weren't sure after the North Little Rock game because that's a rivalry game. Obviously, they're going to play really well in that. Something for concern for Central, though, they allowed 70 points in their first 2 conference games. So defensively, something to work on there. But luckily, their offense was able to get it done with 41 points this past week. And I think if Central is allowed to score, they're a real force in the 7A Central, which is something we just haven't seen out of Central for the past few years.
Definitely.
For Northside, when you look at their schedule, it's just no easy wins from here on out. You know, like Shaw said last week, a lot of teams used to take Central for kind of a guaranteed win to hopefully get them into the playoffs. And I feel like right now Northside is just a mid-level team, and they might split their conference games. So you're looking at Catholic, Cabot, Southside, and Conway for winnable games. And if you split those, you're still going to have 6 losses.
Yeah, so 7A this year is super, super competitive, and kind of what Walter said about what I said last week is we've always relied on Central being our punch to the playoffs, and it's not that way this year. And this Northside team, I think, is even better than what Central has been in the past. So it's going to be it's going to be a more challenging season for the Rockets to punch that ticket, but I think we have a good enough team. If we are disciplined, if we're on the ball, if we're executing well, I think we have a good enough team that we can easily come out with at least 3 or 4 more wins and hopefully go to the playoffs this year. And I think it'll just be a good season for us. It'll be difficult, but it'll be good. So also last Friday, the Southside Mavericks played at the Cabot Panthers and lost 12-0. Cabot is now 4-1. They have scored 153 points and allowed 89.
So Southside's now 1-4. They've scored 83 and allowed for 142 points. But I will say this, Cabot was not as dominant as I expected them to be in this game. You know, I expected a bounce-back, chip-on-the-shoulder win after a loss to Catholic. I mean, 12 points is not impressive to me at all. And, 0 points from Southside is obviously even worse. For Cabot, kind of similar to Northside, you have to look at where are your next wins coming from. You hope to beat Northside and Central because, where are your other conference wins coming from? If your offense is scoring 12 points against a Southside team who is 1-4 and has allowed 142 points. So, luckily, unlike Northside, they got off to a better start after the non-conference schedule. For Southside this season, they're basically becoming that one free win that Central used to be in this conference.
Yeah, also going back to what I said earlier, these Fort Smith teams are usually pretty tough contenders for playoff spots, and I think that this year they'll kind of be those wins if the Rockets are executing well. Again, Cabot, I kind of thought that they were going to blow them out just because Southside has not been looking good this year. They've been beat hard, and coming off that chip, there's a lot of trash talking between Cabot and Catholic, and it was a great win for us, a tough loss for them. I thought that they were going to come back and just shove it down Southside's throats, and they didn't. And I don't know. Just be interesting to look into the future. So this Friday, the Cabot Panthers play at the Conway Wampus Cats. The Wampus Cats are 3-2. And also this Friday, the Southside Mavericks play the North Little Rock Wildcats at home. So I think North Little Rock also, they're a great team. I think they're beatable, though. They have played some tough teams out of state, but I think they're beatable. Maybe another game to look forward to in the season.
So last Friday, the Conway Wampus Cats played at the North Little Rock Wildcats and lost 17-7. Conway has scored 110 points and allowed for 89 points.
So North Little Rock has scored 88 points and allowed 75 points. This is not the North Little Rock team that we've seen for the past 3 years. They've been very, very good for the past 3 years. If you remember earlier in the season, Conway only beat Jonesboro 14-7, and that's a really close game. That was, I don't know if that was at home or at Conway, but Conway went to North Little Rock and only lost by 10 points, and that's kind of a moral victory because keeping the Wildcats to that few points is pretty big. Like I said earlier, I think North Little Rock, with the way they're playing right now, if Catholic can execute the way they did against Cabot, I think they're a beatable team only because we almost beat Jonesboro. We played hard. We had a few mistakes. It was the first game of the season. Also for them, they had a few mistakes. I think if we played Jonesboro now, we would have beat them. I think that we could beat Conway, and I think that we could beat North Little Rock. It'd be a tough game. It'd be a great game. We play them at home on their homecoming, so they'll definitely want to get a win. But I think we want to go in there and upset them, and I think it may happen.
I honestly expected a lot more out of North Little Rock this season just because of the tough competition they played out of state. You expected them to just have so much experience and just to bring that into this conference and almost blow people out because they're historically a very good team. Obviously, a win is a win for North Little Rock, but I think the close game shows that Conway and North Little Rock are not going to be major obstacles even for Bryant this season.
Nope.
And I think Conway and North Little Rock are upper-level teams in conference, but they just don't have what it takes to win the ship this year. I'm also looking at Catholic as a trap game, mostly for Conway, but possibly for North Little Rock as well. The two teams are not elite enough to overlook Catholic, Cabot, or Northside this season. And, last season and the season before, they were kind of elite teams that were blowing people out, and I just haven't seen that this season. And I do expect both of the teams to roll over their competition this week, though, in Cabot and Southside.
So I think Bryant is probably going to win the state championship this week. They are a really talented team, and just the pool of teams this year just aren't as elite as they have been in the past. Conway last year was a very good team. They were third going into the playoffs. They were a great team. North Little Rock was a phenomenal team, easily the favorite to win the state championship, but Bryant beat them in the state championship. But I think Bryant is still elite enough to win the state championship. And I'm going to say that they're probably even going to go undefeated. That game against North Little Rock will be an interesting one, though. So North Little Rock is going to have a huge chip on their shoulder. There's a lot of stuff going on this summer between North Little Rock and Bryant. Max Preps put North Little Rock ahead of Bryant on their best state in the team, and just a lot of trash talking, good-natured trash talk going on between the teams. I think North Little Rock will have a bit of a chip on their shoulder, but I don't think they have a good enough team to outdo the Hornets this year. I think the Hornets are going all the way.
So to go over which 7A Central games are happening this Friday in Week 6, we have the Bryant Hornets at the Central Tigers,
Northside Grizzlies at the Catholic High Rockets,
the North Little Rock Wildcats at the Southside Mavericks,
the Cabot Panthers at the Conway Wampus Cats.
And here's a brief recap of this week's Max Preps Arkansas High School Top 25 football rankings. At number 1 is Bryant, who are 5-0. Number 2 is Greenwood, who's 5-0. Number 3 is Little Rock Christian Academy, who's 5-0. Number 4 is Bentonville, who's 5-0. Number 5 is Bentonville West, who's 3-2. Number 6 is North Little Rock, who's 3-2. Number 7 is Harrison, who's 5-0. Number 8 is Searcy, who's 5-0. Number 9 is Conway, who's 3-2. Number 10 is Shiloh Christian, who are 5-0. Number 11 is Pulaski Academy, who are 3-2. Number 12 is Fayetteville, who's 2-3. Number 13 is Nashville, who are 5-0.
Number 14 is Arkadelphia. They are 4-1. 15 is Jonesboro. They are 4-1. 16 is Central, also 4-1. 17 is Cabot, also 4-1. Number 18 is Lake Hamilton. They're 5-0. 19 is Harbor. They're 3-2. Number 20 is Catholic. They are 3-2. Number 21 is Maumelle, who are 5-0. Number 22 is Northside. They're 2-3. Number 23 is Fordyce. They are 5-0. Number 24 is Benton. They are 2-3. And number 25 is Little Rock Robinson. They are 4-1.
This week we're doing something a little bit different. We've made our own top 10, the 7A Conference Power Rankings. So at number 1, I had Bryant, who are 5-0. Number 2, I had Bentonville, who's 5-0. Number 3, I had North Little Rock, who is 3-2. Number 4 is Conway, who is 3-2. And number 5 is Little Rock Central at 4-1.
So number 6 are the Catholic High Rockets at 3-2. Number 7 is Cabot. They are 4-1. Number 8 is Bentonville West. They are 3-2. Number 9 is Fayetteville. They are 2-3. Number 10 is Northside. They are 2-3. So once again, the Rockets played Fort Smith Northside at home at War Memorial Stadium, 7 o'clock. It is our homecoming game, and I think there's a tailgate before. Should be a good time to come out and support the boys. Should be a great game. Go Rockets.
The Afterburner is a student-led podcast series that covers sports at Catholic High. It is written, directed, produced, and edited by Walter Flanagan and Caleb Shaw. Thank you to the Catholic High Student Journalism Department for allowing us to use their online platform to post content. The Afterburner can be found at liftoffnews.com.